Hey guys, it's Thursday evening, so I figure this is a good time to just take a moment to share what I talk about today. Um, in the meantime, my cat decided to chime in. I think she's looking for her ball. I don't know. She's supposed to be eating, but anyway, so I did this. What was that called? Instagram. There you go. Instagram. I lost my train of thought. Um, I talk about the topic, the title. I said that it's not about you, and so why I want to talk about that? It's because in the previous videos I have touched on the idea of being at peace, right? Self mastery of being at peace. How can we attain the inner peace? Besides doing meditation is important because it's required. Okay, so this is a fundamentally important when it comes to spiritual practice, because meditation is not just to quiet your mind. Meditation is not just about some of the more obvious or superficial type of benefits. They're great, but more importantly, it's for us to be able to have the quiet time to listen the guidance, the inner guidance, the guidance coming from your higher self or creator or God, right? So that practice is almost as essential as compared to like you have to brush your teeth every day, to do maintenance. It's that important. Now, but by doing that, that's important. But what else can I attain the inner peace? If you think about what we are being bombarded in daily life, there are a lot of stuff going on, and our brain processes tons of information every day, and some of the information is really not related, unimportant. And so when we go to sleep at night, we are really somebody's calling me. Oop. I'll get back to her. Anyways, so what happened is, when we really need the time to process those information, to filter out what is important, what is not important, it is done when we're asleep. So that's why sleeping is so important. So put it this way, talking about the hey, you guys need to chill out. Rocky, let her be. So, my apology. The dogs are having a good time. They love to do it right around this time. Sometimes, not all the time. But if we just do meditation without having a good night's sleep, it's not gonna work. And vice versa. So when we just sleep, have a good night's sleep, that's really helpful for the physical body, for the brain, because the brain will release and push out a lot of toxins in the brain, right? So that we can have a chance to be able to process through releasing some of the unimportant information and actual toxin from the brain. So this is actually, you can do some research online. It has been done. There are a lot of scientific evidence to show that adequate sleep is so important for our wellness, okay? For us to be able to have the clarity, clear mind, to be able to think, logic, right? So we need to have a critical thinking, but we have to have a clear mind. So quality sleep is important. Meditation is important as far as for, attaining that state of inner peace. We require the stillness in that space, okay? Even when you have a monkey brain that constantly think about something for work, for school, or for something else, I get it. Like, we all do have the monkey brain. But when you're starting to put in some effort and just be persistently every day, just put, let's say, 5 minutes. You don't even have to meditate. Even if you just to do mindfulness breathing work, right? So you just do mindfulness breathing for 5 minutes. That can alter the whole process also on your subconscious level without realizing it's doing that, right? Calming your amygdala, right, in your brain, so that your alarm system will not just go off easily when you run into a stressful situation at work, at home. Who knows? There are so many things could be what we call like stressors in our lives. So we have to be able to do those like maintenance. It's kind of like doing oil change, transmission fluid change. You have to flush the radiator in certain miles that you have been driving your vehicle. The same concept. We have to do the maintenance. Taking a shower, daily shower, brushing your teeth. These are what we call like maintenance to maintain the the healthiness, right, for your physical body. So this is more for your mind and for your emotion. And more importantly, it's for us to be able to get in touch with the spiritual aspect of us. It is required. Okay, so it is not about us, or I should say, it's not about you. Why I have to bring up? Because that part of the concept is actually not a concept. Let me take it back, because concepts, ideas, theories are not the way for us to be able to experience the truth. Okay, so we can learn about how things work and how the mechanism, how things can be done, but we still have to actually do it, to experience it. So to be able to attain inner peace, we have to take a step back to be able to achieve forgiveness. Forgiveness is not just about forgiving other people who have done wrong to you, but also forgiveness is all about ourselves, how we somehow we're not aware enough to let ourselves being stuck in the cycle of not so healthy cycle of emotional bondages, which consequently we let ourselves suffer, right? So we have to forgive ourselves besides forgiving those who have done wrong to us. So forgiveness is important, but again, a lot of people will be like, I just cannot forgive everybody. This one particular asshole, I just cannot let it go. It's impossible. Okay, I get that. So it's not like overnight thing. You cannot just forgive everybody overnight and then yourself overnight. It doesn't work like that. I would love to be like that. Even for me, I work on it diligently every day. So it's impossible. Okay, it's gonna take daily work. Always have to take daily work. You need to be quiet. Okay, I'm talking. What happened to Rocky? That's why she's crying. Come on, take this. Rocky, be a good boy, okay? Be a good boy. There you go. I love you too. So, in order for us to be able to talk about or attempt to do the forgiveness, one more thing we have to be able to understand and experience is that the world doesn't revolve around us, right? So, things happen. And when somebody, so let's just going back to this, what was I called? I was talking about, oh yeah. So let's say I got upset, okay? I got upset because you said something to me, okay? And somehow whatever you said really triggered me, okay? It triggered me and get me so... really want just to chew on you just because you said something that triggered some fear or anger in me, okay? That you don't even know that's happening, but it just happened to me. I can feel it in my body. It's like I'm like boiling. I'm just need to scream at you, okay? it's not controllable. It's something that is involuntary. It just happened, right? So that's the subconscious level of response. Okay, so when I really react and yell at you because of something that you said and trigger some of my older memories, okay, and to cause me to have this particular emotions such as anger towards you, then you'll be like looking at me like, why am I so angry? Well, I'm so angry because what you said, it's you, right? And so, because the way I said that, yeah, you really pissed me off. Why would you say that? What's wrong with you, right? So I'll be yelling at you, calling you names, and then you didn't even mean to say anything harmful or hurtful or disrespectful towards me. You just said something is nothing bad coming from that sentence, okay? But somehow, maybe just your tone of voice, maybe it's your body language, maybe because the way you looked at me when you talked to me, somehow it just triggered me so badly, okay? I just got frantic, got really upset, and I just have to get back at you, right? With no reason, according to you. Because you have no idea, because you didn't say anything really bad at all. So you looked at me and say, what have I done to deserve that treatment from you? Come on, Maddie. Right? So from your perspective, you'll be like, why are you doing this to me? Right? So that's always the question. I think we all run into the similar thought process when somebody just yell at you for no reason. Either your spouse or your children or your coworker or your boss or some random stranger. And you'll be like, what have I done? Like, hello, look at this angry bird. Like, just kind of coming from nowhere. Just going ballistic at me, right? So you have this, like, question marks, like, what have I done? What have I said? I did nothing, right? And so you'll be like, why would you do that to me? So that was the whole talk this morning when I was doing it, sharing this thought. This whole thing on IG. So it's not about you. Even though, yes, it seems like I was yelling at you because of what you said. I even said it myself, like, you said this, just pissed me off. I don't know why, just get me really upset. And then, of course, if I'm a reflective person, meaning if I'm aware enough of my emotions, of my choice of words, I'm aware of my reactions to different situations and people, right? If I'm one of those people, then eventually, somehow, I will cool down and I will take a step back and look at myself like, oh my God, I can't believe I just did that to this person. I can't believe I just did that to you. I'm so sorry. I just can't help it. It's like someone light a fire on my tail and I just kind of go crazy. I'm so sorry. I just couldn't control that anger. I don't know where it's coming from. Now, even if I said I don't know where it's coming from, highly possibly I will have an idea where it's coming from. Because that kind of emotions are so strong and so quick, so explosive. Usually that individual know exactly where that familiar response is coming from. It doesn't come from nowhere. Each time when we respond in a certain way, it comes from the learned behavior or our past experiences, okay? So when it comes to really like negative emotions and very destructive type of emotions and reactions, if you really take a moment to examine that and feel how you feel in your body and think about in what time, when was that, I went through something very similar. For the most part, if you really take the time to examine that when you are kind of chill and calm down, you'll be able to recall one way or the other. Okay, some people may not be able to recall completely because they are purposely trying to avoid that, but then emotionally, they cannot avoid that. So that's kind of the reaction is like, you got garbage in, garbage out. So your subconscious might immediately do that. That you don't even have to think about it. That's what the power of subconscious mind can do to us. It can just garbage in and garbage out, and then it continue the cycle, because anything that got triggered with the negative emotions, your subconscious mind just want to get it out of me. Get out of me. It's like you see something that you don't like. Some people are really afraid of like critters or spiders. When people see stuff like that, they're like, oh my God, get off me. Very irrational. Like they just want to get that out of your system, right? So same concept. Subconscious mind do the same thing. So what I'm trying to say is that when I got triggered and I yell at you and get really angry at you at the very moment, you take it all in and thinking I was really attacking you, but I was not really attacking you. In truth, I just got triggered by you. Somehow you just pushed my button. But it's actually not about you, because what gave me that emotional response, that anger, it wasn't even coming from this particular thing, because this is not the original event that caused my problem. It was so-and-so back in the days, so-and-so just treated me really badly that I triggered that kind of survival mode, defensive mode. So I react in such a way, trying to protect myself, trying to fight. Right? In this case, I get angry. So I try to fight it from the defensive mentality, okay? But you won't know the history because you don't know me, right? So it's just, even if you talk about family members, sometimes you just don't know everything. I mean, even for me, I still have to look at my own life and do like what I call like life events inventory. You have to write down all those like major events that actually like ultimately life changing. It alter you, like turning you into the person that you're becoming. So you won't know what's going on. You just kind of all of a sudden you just take the hit from me without realizing there's an underneath current that I'm the only one who has experienced that current when you said something, so you trigger me. So again, it's really, I wasn't really attacking you per se, you just pushed my button, right? So if you think about it, this is not a new concept, this is not something new. I'm sure like most of you get the idea of it, because we know that sometimes people do push our buttons. It is not always, let me put it this way, sometimes we just don't have the clear head and the clear mind to be able to catch it right at the moment to stop yourself. For the most part, subconsciously, we just kind of do it until everything is done, damage is done, bad words have been said, very hurtful words have been said, and then we take a step back when we cool down and calm down, and then we regret what we said. Especially to our loved ones when we have a heated conversation, right? Or arguments. We often say that I can't believe I said this to her. I can't believe I said this to him. And then you feel regret, you feel bad about it. So it's very unhealthy. Like we know that because we all have done that. This is nothing new. Okay? So we cannot just control the subconscious. The subconscious is, your subconscious behavior is like a reflex. You cannot just tell yourself not to have the reflex. It's the same as when you see the fire, when you reach out with your hand to touch the fire, automatically your hand's gonna retract, because you don't want to get burned, because you know how uncomfortable, how painful when you get burned. So that's why when people want to understand why doing subconscious work is very important, is also very powerful, very life-changing, it's because it is. You can be programmed in such a way, and you can also reprogram it into a different thought pattern, right? You want to create the new neural pathways by doing subconscious work. So there are different ways to do it, but my point is, I don't want to kind of go off track. The point is, it is not about you, right? However, whatever I chose to do and react or respond, it's all about me. How I deal with what I just got triggered. I just repeat the same pattern that I established a long ass time ago. Whoever done wrong to me, hurt me, right? I have the first hand of response. So therefore, it's programmed. it becomes the autopilot. And then from now on, something similar happen, I'm going to do exactly the same response. So it has nothing to do with you. That's why this morning I talk about is not about you. Why it's so important? Because by knowing that each one of us have so many different buttons. Hey, calm down. Come on, calm down. Have so many different buttons, right? We all do. We all do. So when we realize that we have so many buttons that can be pushed by others unintentionally, most of the time it's actually unintentionally. So how can we, be able to be free from our involuntary emotional response? It's very difficult. Now, I'm not trying to talk about how we can remove that. Of course, there are ways to do that, but it's not the focus on this chat today. The goal is to be able to recognize that however my reaction, whether I am saying something, doing something, when I make a decision, it is all about me. It's all coming from me. It has nothing to do with you. I hope this really makes sense. I'm going to do what I decide to do. You have no say on that because I already make up my mind. Does it make sense? It's almost like saying it's kind of irrelevant on considering everybody else around me, because when I make up my mind I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. People do what they do. You cannot change that. People chose to believe in what they believe. You cannot just change that. It will be mind-blowing to say this. You tell me how to think, I'm going to follow you. I will listen to you. You tell me how to think, how to behave, I will do it. Can you really do that? I won't. Why would I want to listen to you how I'm going to, think and behave based on what you're going to give me those instructions? I have to follow those instructions and live my life according to your book? Oh, heck no. It won't work. Nobody does that. Nobody does that. Even your parents. You think about when you're a child, we don't want to do that. Even for a very obedient child, eventually that obedient child at some point is gonna be very much rebellious, because that child has been following all those guidance and instructions, from the parents, that at some point the child is gonna be like, you know what, I'm done with this. I can't even have my own say. I can't even follow my own dreams. I can't even follow my own thoughts, ideas, and desire, because I have to follow you guys, what you're telling me to do. What am I, a puppet? I can't even have my own mind because everything you said I must follow, that you are like my programmer to program my mind and tell me what I'm supposed to do. It's very difficult. It's suffocating. That's just the part of the human in us, that we just cannot just follow other people's instructions and tell me how I should be living my life and how I should be thinking and feeling emotionally. It just doesn't work. We will try, but it's going to backfire. That's exactly what happened when we're being put in an environment that we're trying to please everybody. When we try to please everyone and completely ignore our own feelings and our own thoughts, our own desire, our own dreams, we crush everything that belongs to us and trying to please everybody by doing and following what will pleases them. That would be crazy. That's why we have a lot of mental health issues these days, is because a lot of us cannot have our own voice and be ourselves, honor our desire truly want to become the person we want to become, but we won't allow ourselves to do it. Or sometimes it's even worse, the environment is not conducive for us to have the freedom, because we may be threatened with our safety. In order to be ourselves, then we have to be subjugated to some, what I call them, perpetrators and abusers, to live in that shadow. That's why we have mental health problems. So anyways, my point is, when you realize we do what we do, okay? I decide to do things in a certain way. I decide to make a decision. I make the decision for myself, for my own very personal reasons. It could be a secret for all I care, but it has nothing to do with you. So when you understand this, then you will not take any quote unquote attacks or argument. Attacks could be the physical, emotional, or even sexual. Okay, I will not take those attacks personally. I know it sounds really freaking crazy. Take a moment and think about it. Knowing that whatever other people are doing, they have their own reasons. Whether the reasons are good, with good intentions, or bad, with bad intentions. Okay, if we have to categorize good and bad behaviors, or good and bad outcomes, regardless, I don't have to take it personal when I truly understand that people do what they choose to do. It has nothing to do with me. You do yours, I do mine. But in the reality, a lot of times our paths cross. Somehow I got involved in a situation that I will perceive that this is about me. Therefore, you do this to me. When we do that, then we take everything to the heart, because we see it, this is completely personal. Don't you see that this person is talking smack at me, yelling at me, throw things at me, and trying to punch me in my face and trying to beat me up? You know, you think I'm stupid? I'm gonna stay here and let you just hurt me? Obviously, this is really crazy, right? So again, when we're able to understand that all things happen the way they happen because we chose to do things according to our own will, okay? We make our own decisions. You don't tell me to how to make my own decisions. I'm always have the final say on what I decide to do. Likewise, you do yours, I do mine. Your decisions is coming from you. It's not coming from me. Okay? Whether the motivation is for whatever reasons behind it, still, that is your decision, right? So when we understand that, then we'll no longer take things personally, which is a critical step and critical, important understanding, because without being able to fully recognize and see it, that's the truth, right? We want to perceive the truth. We don't want to live based upon illusions. Illusions cannot be foundations of the truth. It just can't. It just can't. It just can't happen. You follow some delusional, it's like a mirage, and thinking that there is water ahead of you, and you follow that direction, you're off track. You're going somewhere else that will get nothing at the end of it. So it cannot be the truth. So when we're able to see what is truly going on, knowing that it's not personal, it's never been personal. That person being angry, that person being really upset, that person being really sad, that person's being really happy, it still has nothing to do with me. We have to fully take that accountability and see that for what it is. Then we're able to detach of this whole thing, right? We just observe what is truly going on for whatever that is. There's no delusional idea of it is personal. It is really not personal. At least it is not according to my book. Then we can start to have the ability to understand that there's no point for me to judge. We have to kind of do the baby step, not taking things personal, right? Not taking a heat up conversation as a personal attack. It's very important. Next thing is like not to be judgmental. When we are able to see that things happen the way it happened because life happens, then there's no longer a need or urge try to be right or wrong, right? Sometimes people really think about right. What do you mean? Sometimes you want to have the final say. You want to have your last word in the conversation to prove that you are right. When we let go of that urge and trying to be right, then we're starting to notice that we'll be able to see things for what it is, what they are, and there will be no judgment towards any situations. We just observe and objectively just to see for what it is. Like, for example, I think I used this example before. When you stand here, so I live in a rural part of the country. When you stand here waiting for the snowfall, you cannot say it to the universe or to the sky and say that, how could you drop these snows on me? What have I done wrong to deserve you dropping these snows on me? Come on, get a jacket, right? Get a beanie, put on a snow jacket. Don't stay outside. It's my choice to stay outside and watching the snowfall, and I cannot just blame the sky or the creator, saying like, wow, how dare you? Why would you do this to me? Life just happens. Life just happens. You cannot yell at the tree just because the trees have some of the leaves coming down, falling off, and falling onto your shoulders. Don't yell at the tree leaves and say, how dare you sitting on my shoulder? Who the heck are you? You cannot just be angry at the tree leaf. It happened the way it happened. Somehow it landed on you. It's not a personal attack. But often we have that intensified emotional response to people who may just said something with the not so friendly of a tone of voice and attitude, and somehow it just landed on me, right? Aim it at me because I just happened to got caught up in the situation and his situation, and he got so mad and yelled at everybody, including me. What have I done wrong? Then I cannot just go crazy like, why are you yelling at me? What have I done wrong, right? So it's kind of like, think about it. Just like talking to the tree leaves. The tree leaves will land on your really nice, expensive coat, okay? And you got upset because the tree was sitting on your coat, and you yell at that tree leaf and say, how could you? How dare you? What have I done wrong? Why would you sit on my really expensive coat? It's silly. It's silly. It's really, really silly. If we're able to really see that, I think the reason why I share this is because this is one way to remind myself, don't be ridiculous. When I'm being reactive and thinking that person, just because he or she is so freaking outrageously being angry and being really hostile, very, how am I going to say this? Like, you just cannot stop that individual, and that individual just ongoing attacking you verbally. Let's just say it that way, that you just don't understand, but the person is just so poisonous and so contagiously saying lots of really hurtful words. It's almost like trying to destroy you with his words, okay? There's no physical fight, just verbally, okay? Very verbally abusive, and trying to make me feel so little, belittle me to the point where I will have like nowhere to hide, okay? So let's just say that this is the worst case scenario, okay? Even for that, I still have to remember that tree leaf, that person, it's like the tree leaf. I don't know how he ended up landing and spitting all those hurtful words, the worst kinds that you can find in this world, that everything just all combined and condensed in this one situation that I got hit by that. So it's really, how am I say this? So it is important for us to see the parallel, because when we're able to see the parallel, then you'll be able to understand that, wow, we often being very reactive. Not just the other person being reactive, we're also being reactive. We're also being pushed on the button at the same time. That's why it became a vicious cycle. But when we're able to become more mindful and see the truth, the true dynamic, what is truly going on, he has his own thing dealing with. He has his own demon that he's dealing with, and he doesn't know how to deal with. The only way he knows how is just to be angry, right? Trying to protect himself. So he has to attack first before he gets hurt. That's his defense mechanism. And I have my own defense mechanism. So he got pushed on the button. Who knows what triggered him? Then he said something to me. I got triggered. So as conveniently, I would be like saying like, why would you attack me? Why would you say all this to me? What have I done this? So possibly my button was, probably somebody really told me, have done something to convince me that I am not worthy, that I'm not lovable, that I should be treated like a piece of trash, right? So that was my button. Somehow, whatever he did became my, became the force to push my button right there. And so I become reactive. So this is what's going on. It's like we push each other buttons. It's like a boomerang. It just keep going bouncing off each other. And each time when it hits that person, it push another button. So it seems like it's an ongoing, non-stop, vicious cycle. But when we truly know that our emotions, our irrational response, especially when we talk about some of the not so great of a negative emotions, are coming from somewhere. It's not from that person, but originally gave rise of that emotional response is coming from something happened a long, long time ago. So that was really the focus. When we're able to see that, able to understand it's not about me, that person decided to do all this, is that he's fighting his demon and he don't know how to do it. So he projects his emotions on me by doing certain things, right? Obviously, like sometimes it's just all combined together in the whole entire action. So when we're able to see that, then I won't take it personally anymore. But of course, if I get pushed, my button got pushed because of what he said, then I will highly possibly will still be reactive, coming from the subconscious reaction, right? But then hopefully, after that reactive response from my end, when I calm down, I'll be able to take a step back and reflect on what is truly going on under the hood in the car and trying to see what's really going on. When you want to do that work, that's what we call the shadow work, right? When we're willing to really do that type of work and look at, examine on those emotions, where it's coming from. why I feel that way. When we're able to do that, then that is the beginning point of breaking the pattern. So when you have an argument, the argument always involves at least two people. When one person is able to recognize and slow down, even just to slow down, and be able to recognize, be more reflective, and be able to see, hey, he's really not attacking or talking at me, even though it may be perceived that way, but it's really not me. It could be somebody else replacing my spot with somebody else. He's got to do exactly the same thing. When you really understand that, then you will be the bigger person to be able to be able to remove yourself away from it without being taken on so personal. That is a big step for all of us who can do that. One big step. And by removing yourself from the argument, so one person's it's gone, then that individual, whether or not that individual chooses to really look deeper and examine his own emotions or not, it's irrelevant, because at least I can take myself out of that equation. It's no longer having that dynamic. So you break the vicious cycle right there in that particular situation, in that particular dynamic. And that's how we all starting to do that. That's why many people will say that so many times in different ways, and we share the same information saying like, we cannot change other people, but we can definitely change ourselves by seeing how we respond to situations and understand the true reasons and the cause of it. And when we're able to see the true problem, not the delusional masculine what we choose to believe, when we truly see the real problem, where the problem is coming from how we feel based upon protecting ourselves from being hurt. Usually that is one of the biggest and most common reasons, because we want to protect ourselves. So the subconscious mind will always find a way to protect us by doing something that I would so call like irrational, to make sure we don't get hurt any further from the original events that took place. It's like you got bit by a little chihuahua, and then from now on you are just afraid of dogs. Doesn't really matter what kind of dogs. I just hate dogs because dogs are bad animals. I don't want to deal with them because I got bit when I was little. You see that? So that's how we are being conditioned. That's how the subconscious mind is trying to do its best to protect us from getting hurt again. That's why those buttons, when we're being pushed, those buttons are so powerful. It's irrational. And it's instinctively, you react that way, exactly the same way. I can dramatize it. I can even draw a picture of a dog and put it in front of you. And you can still be very reactive and have palpitation. Because that's how the subconscious mind will do whatever it takes to make sure we don't get hurt again. You see that? When you understand the power of mind, and when you truly understand what caused each one of us to respond or react in a certain way, there is reason behind it that has nothing to do with me. If I'm angry, it has nothing to do with you. Even though I'm angry in front of you, even though I'm pointing fingers at you, it's really not about you. It's about me and my past trauma that I never healed from it. So subconscious mind keep doing the same trick, keep doing the same response just to protect me. What's wrong with that, right? That's what the subconscious mind keeps saying. What's wrong with that? You need to keep doing exactly what you're doing because that's what I told you so. And you just do it for the rest of your life until you recognize it. And that's part of the, so this is about the knowledge, about the mechanism, how things work. So I'm not one of those people just kind of like, well, just believe me, this is how it works. No, there are a lot of things scientifically can be explained, but there are also a lot of things that we haven't yet been able to find the proof to be able to exactly exemplify why things and how things work. Okay, so just understand that there are things that we know really well. There are things that we are still exploring options and solutions and decipher what else is within that. Just like our human brain, we're learning more and more now, okay, compared to 20 years ago, 30 years ago. But there's still a lot of mysteries that we're still learning and trying to discover it, right? So think about that. I know this talk is really long, but seriously, to know that it is not about you when somebody gets upset right in front of you, or even upset telling you something that could be really hurtful. It's really not about you. It's that person has to deal with his own demon. He hasn't yet found a way to release himself from it, to feel safe enough to convince the subconscious mind that it is okay now. Because he has no way to be able to break that, which, by the way, there is always a way. That's why, as a hypnotherapist, I keep saying that there's plenty of ways that we can rewire the brain. There are tools existing for so many years. We use those tools to help our clients. You know, there are ways to do it, but that person didn't really understand. So his own way is just to deal with the demons, his own demons, by reacting exactly the same way every single time. I mean, you can even bet with your life and you can win a lot of money because that person will not change until the person is able to have enough awareness to recognize that pattern. Then we can really sit down and talk about possible solutions. Until then, the only thing we can do is to do it for ourselves, our part, when we're willing to become more aware, raise our awareness, and to know ourselves better, not letting other people to tell us what we should be looking at, but rather to take the time to do meditation, right? To do other spiritual practice, to be able to understand our body is speaking to us all the time. When we're not feeling good, the body will send off signals by letting you to feel certain discomfort, muscle tightness, right? It's the common thing. That's why people have migraine. That's why people have different types of like physical symptoms that they can tell. There's a reason why the body is out of balance, because when we are thinking and responding emotionally in a certain way, it manifested in our physical body. It has a body symptoms. When we understand that connection, that's another hint, important hint, to help us to be able to break the pattern. You see what I'm saying? You will never be able to find a solution until you know where the problem is. That is a very logical way to look at it. We have to be able to recognize the true problem, the root problem of it, so that we know where to find the solutions. That's all. So take some time to think about that. It's not really about you. When somebody gets upset at you, it's really not at you. You just happen to be involved in that situation. Okay? From there, to take the next step forward is to become non-judgmental, because now you see it exactly for what that is. That person is suffering. Too bad. And if that person poses threat at you, of course you're not going to sit there or stand there and let that person trying to hurt you or even kill you. You have to run away for safety, okay? I'm not trying to tell you like, oh, just be there, be compassionate, just stay there, let him just, shoot at you with all those like hurtful, really disgusting words. No, walk away. Don't tell yourself go outside just because it's snowing The nature doesn't do anything wrong, so it just snows, so stay outside. No, I'm going to stay indoor if I don't want to get a bunch of snows over my head when I'm not wearing a appropriate outfit. I'm not going to stay outside. Likewise, if it's a beautiful sunny day, I want to enjoy the sunny day, I go outside and enjoy it. If it's raining, would I want to stay outside for the rain? Some people probably really like rainy days and they like to do that. But I don't. So if it's raining, I'm not going to just stand outside and bitch about like why the rain is getting me all wet. Dumbass, go inside, right? Go inside the house so you can stay away from the wetness. Hello? So that is really logical as well. So just because you understand that somebody is dealing with his own demon, and you just stand there and let that person continue to say those hurtful words, it's really no needed. Just like those rings, why would you bother to stand outside and get yourself all wet and possibly get you sick? Stay inside of your vehicle, stay inside of your house so you can stay dry. Hello? Likewise, somebody's really dealing with his own demon. Don't just stand there. Walk away. Walk away. Don't get sucked in by those words. But you don't have to be reactive and go at him. That's all. Make sense? So that's really very important first round of practice. It takes a lot of diligent practice, okay? I'm not saying this is an easy thing because sometimes you really get caught up in a very heated up argument. Something can be, quote unquote, you feel so personal because your multiple buttons got pushed in the same heated up conversation, then it will be very difficult for you to be able to recognize that. Because your emotions already took over your prefrontal cortex. You are becoming reactive. The subconscious mind is trying to protect you at all costs. So you can control it. But afterwards, when you're calm, that will be the time that you can take some time to do work. Healers, light workers, this is how you can do that when things happen. As triggers arise, you will be able to take the time when you choose to, then you can release and heal from it. And also, light workers, you can also take advantage of meditation, because through meditation, and I know some people do Akashic records, they do past life regressions and all that. There are different ways you can dig in and do more work if you choose to. But even if you don't, just to use meditation, you can still be able to resolve some of the entanglements in your current life, past lives, whatever. You can do that as you move along. But the best practice to me is that even if you don't do anything else, by recognizing something happened, something got triggered, you do it as you go, you are doing a fantastic job. Because when you set your expectation really high and say, I really want to heal from everything, I just have to do it now because it's been such a long time. I just want to get it all done right at this very moment. I'm going to get everything done within the next 6 months. See, that will kind of almost like setting yourself up for failure. And that will also trigger your anxiety or even a panic attack for a lot of people, because a lot of times people do have a lot of past baggages, and some of the emotional responses are really, really powerful that you just cannot do it all. You cannot tell people to juice or to fast, to do detox, like in a short amount of time with a very powerful recipe. You may shock the body, and that's not healthy. So doing healing work, we have to be patient. But at the same time, it is completely, totally doable and possible for us to release all those toxicity one at a time, or sometimes multiple things at the same time, as you are moving along this healing journey. Until next time, I'll talk to you guys later. Okay? Have a good night. Bye.